Pay attention. What you are about to hear is not pretty, not soft, and not meant to make anyone comfortable. This is about the truth behind cheating, excuses, and weak choices. Men do not cheat because they found someone better. They cheat because they found somewhere easier. Somewhere nobody asked real questions. Somewhere nobody expects them to grow up. Somewhere they can stay lazy, messy, and comfortable without being called out. Let's keep it real. A man with a good woman at home who still chases attention outside is not a king. He is a little boy in a grown body, scared of being held to a higher standard. A good woman does not just love you. She sees you. She expects you to level up. And weak men hate that pressure. So instead of getting better, they lower the room. They go where the bar is on the floor, where the same old lines still work, where half-truths pass as honesty, where leftovers feel like a full meal. Here is the ugly truth. A disloyal man does not cheat with a woman who challenges him. He cheats with someone who lets him stay the same dusty version of himself. Because changing is hard, accountability is heavy, and growing up means looking in the mirror and not liking what you see at first. And when he walks back home, looks his woman in the eyes and says, "I love you," like nothing happened, that is not smooth. That is not cool. That is a man playing two roles and thinking he is smart for it. The sad part is not just that he hurts her. The sad part is that every time he chooses easy over honest, he shrinks himself. Every time he chooses attention over loyalty, he proves he is more in love with feeling wanted than being worthy. Because cheating is not about passion. It is about character. And character always snitches in the end. And listen, it never starts with some big dramatic move. It starts small. A message he should not reply to. A joke he should not entertain. A moment he should shut down, but does not. That is how the door cracks open. Not kicked in, just left unlocked. He tells himself it is nothing, just talking, just harmless, just a little fun. But little things build big messes. Every time he crosses a tiny line, the next line gets easier to step over. That is how he trains himself to stop feeling guilty. He starts living two lives. One where he plays the good man at home. One where he plays the free man outside. And the craziest part is, he starts believing his own act. He thinks as long as nobody catches him, nobody gets hurt. But energy always tells. The woman at home feels the shift. The colder replies. The shorter patience. The fake smiles. The way he guards his phone like it is a treasure chest. She might not have proof, but she has a feeling. And feelings like that do not come from nowhere. Meanwhile, he walks around acting confident, but deep down he is nervous. Because when you build something on lies, you spend your whole time protecting the lie instead of enjoying the life. That is not freedom. That is a job. And here is the part men do not like to hear. The women he sneaks around with do not get the best of him. They get the leftovers. The tired version. The stressed version. The version that cannot even show up fully because half of his life is somewhere else. So he ends up disappointing everyone. The woman at home who trusted him. And the woman on the side who thought she was special. Because in the end, nobody wins in a game built on secrets. That is the price of moving funny. You never get to stand solid anywhere. Now pay attention. Because this is where the mask really starts slipping. He gets sloppy, not because he wants to be caught, but because carrying lies gets heavy. He forgets what story he told to who. He mixes names, times, places, and every mistake makes him sharper, colder, more defensive. At home, he starts turning small things into big fights, not because they matter, but because anger is a good cover. If he stays loud, nobody asks quiet questions. If he stays mad, nobody looks too close. That is the trick. He starts calling her crazy for feeling something is off, says she is overthinking, says she is dramatic. But the funny part is, he knows she is right. That is why it hits his nerves so hard. And on the other side, he plays the hero, the misunderstood man, the poor guy with a bad situation. He feeds a sad story, so someone else feeds his ego. Two different faces, same weak core. Here is the ugly truth. A man who moves like this is not powerful. He is scared. Scared to be alone. Scared to be honest. Scared to step up and be real. So he collects attention like trophies to feel bigger than he really is. But while he is busy juggling, something else is happening. The woman who trusted him is changing. She stops explaining, stops asking, stops waiting. And when a woman stops doing that, it is not because she gave up. It is because she woke up. That is when the real loss starts. Not when she leaves the house, when she leaves him in her mind. So listen close, because this is where it always flips. He thinks he is winning. He thinks he is smooth. He thinks he has two worlds in his hands, like a magician with cheap tricks. But what he really has is a clock ticking in his pocket. At home, she starts moving different. Not loud, not dramatic, just different. She laughs less. She shares less. She stops telling him about her day. Stops caring if he is late. Stops checking his stories. That calm scares him more than any fight ever could. He tries to pull her back with crumbs, a random compliment, a late apology, a "you know I love you" thrown out like a bandage. But she is not bleeding anymore. She is healing, and healing does not need his words. Meanwhile, he keeps chasing easy attention. The kind that does not ask questions. The kind that does not expect growth. The kind that claps for the bare minimum. That is his comfort zone. No pressure. No responsibility. Just noise that makes him feel big for a moment. But here is the funny part. The louder he gets outside, the quieter it gets at home. And silence has weight. It sits in the room. It follows him around. It stares at him. When he lays down at night, he starts feeling it. The distance. The cold space where trust used to live. He starts realizing he did not lose her to another man. He lost her to his own weak choices. And that is when panic walks in. Not love, not regret, panic. The fear of losing the one person who saw him at his worst and still stayed. But by the time he finally wants to be real, she is already real with herself. And that is a race he can never win. And here is the ending. He never plans for. She does not leave in a storm. She leaves in silence. No speeches. No long messages. No begging for him to understand. She just steps out of the role she played for too long. He looks around and finally feels the empty space. The chair. The room. The life that used to move around him. That is when it hits. Not because he lost control, but because he lost someone real. And here is the ending he never plans for. She does not leave in a storm. She leaves in silence. No speeches, no long messages, no begging for him to understand. She just steps out of the role she played for too long. He looks around and finally feels the empty space, the chair, the room, the life that used to move around him. That is when it hits. Not because he lost control, but because he lost someone real. And that is the real lesson. You do not lose a good woman to another man. You lose her to the version of yourself you refuse to outgrow.